Let's take a look at my razor blade holder. I use flathead screws to hold a 3/4 inch, 1/8 inch thick L onto 3/8 inch square aluminum. I've drilled holes to take two 56 screws. There's a large nut for 256 below and a small one up above, so we can mount the blade, and the blade is pressed against the L when it's in use, so it's supported. And I use a couple of clips for safety. And I used a half round file to file it down to allow me to get thicker tubing walls. That's basically the construction of a razor blade holder. I've mounted a 1/8 inch wood dowel in the lathe, put a silicone rubber cap on it. I've mounted a hard stop on the cross side so it won't go too far in, otherwise it'd cut through the wood dowel. And I'm going to now cut with a razor blade holder. I can back it off. And put a couple little clamp on to protect from the sharp edges, just in case. Oops. Hey. Worked pretty good in cutting. And we can see that there's little teeny grooves on the wood dowel, but it doesn't cut through. See if we can show how the hard stop works on the cross slide. Move it out of the way. I basically took a L, cut off part of it, drilled holes and mounted it so I can adjust the position where I want it. Yes, so that I don't cut too far into the wood dowel that I'm using to hold the rubber tubing, I made a hard stop for the cross slide. This part doesn't move, so by bolting a bracket, it stops it. And I can adjust it anywhere I want. So I could adjust it for the wood dowel and then put a hard stop on. And all I did was take a L and drilled it so I could mount it on the cross slide, and I cut down the length of it so it wouldn't bottom out. But you could also use a L that you bend in another direction, either single or longer, to give a hard stop. And so I made a variation on the razor blade holder. I drilled and tapped the 3/8 inch bar, and I milled a channel that's 7 millimeters wide and about a 1/2 millimeter deep. I would then put the razor blade on it, and that back part would ride in the channel. I was going to drill and tap holes so that I could use screws and washers to hold the razor blade, but then I reversed the blade and found that the holes no longer lined up. So I can't really use that universally. However, I did try just clamping the blade on with some binder clips, and that should work. It holds the blade against the L bracket, and when it's being pressed against the material, it will push against here, and if it has a tendency to catch on the way out, the little lip that I have formed in there by making that groove should prevent the blade from coming up. Yes, if these wires interfere with its use, they can always be removed. And I took a needle nose plier and filed little round spots. And that could also be used to remove the wires. And they could always be placed back on to remove the blade. Yes, it seems to cut okay dry, but I'm going to try a little lubrication. I'm going to try glycerin. And the object is to try to get thinner than I have been getting. Let's paint on a little bit of glycerin. And I put plastic underneath just in case it drips. Glycerin would be water soluble. Okay. Let's move it 10 mils. Oop, wrong way. Try the 10 mils. Another 10 mils. Let's try 5 mils. Another 5 mils. Okay. Let's see how we did. Whoops. I think I need aid. See if I can get those off now. Well, with lubrication, it looks like I can cut at least 5 mils. Although there's a possibility that it might not be able to handle it consistently because I see a little bit of what looks like a tear. Well, it does look like it might be 5 mils. Pretty good.